culmination of some very hard work by the assigned U.S. attorneys, by the FBI, and by the IRS. We are very pleased with the judge's sentence. And at this time, I'll take any questions that you have.
My name is Kate Yeager. I'm with KNWA and Fox 24 News. In your closing sentence, you said that betrayal was a common theme that you were talking about. Can you just explain a little bit about what the betrayal is to our viewers that are watching at home?
Sure, and this was reiterated by the judge. John Woods asked for the people's vote. He told them that he would go to Little Rock, that he would work on their behalf, that he would make their lives better. And that was a lie. That was a betrayal. And with this sentence, what the judge said was that the people's trust, it's valuable, it's worth something. And when you betray, there's severe consequences. And that's what we wanted. We wanted to send that message.
Katie Davidson with 4029. You also, at the end of that statement, asked for the recommended sentence guidelines, and the judge did go about 100 months less than that. How do you feel about that?
We had asked for what was considered a guideline sentence, but the judge was very articulate, very methodical, very reasonable, and that's within the judge's discretion. So, though I wish he would have stayed in the guidelines, I completely understand why he did not. And again, we're fine with the sentence.
Do you have anything to say about former State Senator John Woods not speaking at the end?
That was his right. I believe he's going to do it for an appeal purposes, and so that's his right, and I'm not going to comment on that.
Benji Hardy, Arkansas Times. Can you explain the issue with the money judgment and the restitution figure and how those two sums tie together or don't tie together?
Okay, so what happened was that the court determined that there was roughly a little over $2 million. $2 million, that was the amount of the total bribes, the total loss to the state of Arkansas. 400,000 of that was returned during the course of the investigation. So that left a little over $1.6 million. I think it was $1,621,500. That is the amount of the restitution. That's the amount that Senator Woods, or John Woods, owes the people of Arkansas. So that's those two numbers.
Wasn't there a fine also, or was the 1.6 it? Did he not have to fine and cost?
Was there a fine? I do not believe there was a fine. Now there was there was a cost associated. There's a $100 judgment for every charge, court fees, but I don't think there was a fine associated. No.
And after that, the judge mentioned a money judgment that did seem a little bit higher than that, the initial restitution.
I'm gonna let Kenny.
Aaron's the money judgment guy.
He's our guru.
Yes, so on the forfeiture, you can get, in addition to the actual proceeds of the crime, you can get also money involved in the crime. So anything you're convicted of, you can be, in addition to the restitution, you can also pay a forfeiture money judgment.
So now he owes both of those costs added together, is that correct?
Correct.
So that's over $2 million total?
Correct.
Okay, I didn't quite get that. I apologize. He owes the 1.6 that we know. That's restitution. What else does he owe, money-wise?
The other little over $1 million for the forfeiture money judgment. So any crimes he's convicted of, he could be required to pay both the proceeds of the offenses as well as any money involved in the money laundering offense.
Josh Waters from Conduit News. The judge said a message needed to be sent to the General Assembly and the state at large. What do you believe that message is to other legislators who are considering engaging in this conduct?
I think the judge said it clearly. The people's trust can't be betrayed. If it are, that comes with serious consequences. You heard the judge. This was serious. This was serious. This was over 18 years confinement. The judge sent a message, as rightfully he should, that this will not be tolerated. The people's trust has value, and when it's betrayed, it won't be tolerated.
John comes to the KNWA News. Furthering on that point, the judge talked about two different kinds of deterrence, specific and general. And in his remarks, he said that general deterrence is kind of, to quote him, runs in the background. In this instance, he gave the impression that it was definitely not running in the background. Can you talk about that?
Sure. Specific and general deterrence. Specific deterrence is the court sending a message: I'm deterring you, defendant, you specifically, from committing these crimes or crimes like these in the future. General deterrence is I'm sending a message to the population. The judge was very clear that he needed to send a message to the population for two reasons. Number one, people of Arkansas, this was your trust, and this is how serious the judge took it. But also to the people in Little Rock, to the legislators. If you hopefully you don't live in a vacuum, you know that there's other indictments, there's other cases out there. He's sending a message that, hey, this is serious. This is serious. So it's not just to the people, it's also to our legislators.
So, Preferred Family Healthcare company, formerly known as Alternative Opportunities, seems to be a pretty deep part of this. They operate in multiple other states. You've been in contact with your counterparts in Missouri, Oklahoma, Kansas, and Illinois about possible similar legislative corruption schemes?
We have been working with other districts. I'm not going to go into detail about their cases, but yes, we are working with other districts.
That $1 million that upped the offense level, or over 1.5, under 3.5, and that 1 million, would that be considered uncharged conduct in terms of how this all works?
Well, it wasn't charged as in it wasn't part of the indictment, but it was relevant conduct. It was conduct that the rules allow the judge to look into to get the full picture, the totality of the situation of what's going on. So uncharged, yes, but still relevant.
So that $1.6 million, would that put kind of a price tag on how much John Woods had taken from the state of Arkansas?
I want to say that we know of, but that's what was proven in trial, yes.
Can you give us any idea? Clearly, this is part of a larger investigation. I realize you just said you're not going to talk about other people's investigation. But is this investigation still going? Is there other things to follow up? Other people who might be involved? Anything like that?
There's still an investigation going on.
Well, I assume that since Mr. Mulrine is still here. Any idea how longer? Is he going to be able to vote in Arkansas, sir? And any idea when he might?
Well, I will say we're going to make him a Razorback fan eventually.
Okay.
But that's all I'll say about that. But yes,
All right.
there is a ongoing investigation.
How closely are you working with the state authorities, the Medicaid fraud unit of the Attorney General's office? Announced a couple of arrests. They've said they're cooperating, at least sharing some information with federal investigators. Are you in close contact with them?
We are in contact with them. Yes, we're sharing information. Yes.
Is there anything? Can you share what you're looking for in terms of tomorrow's sentencing and the ones to come in terms of this whole?
Well, tomorrow's sentencing. Tomorrow's sentencing is tomorrow's sentencing, but this gave us a good indication of how tomorrow's sentencing is going to go as far as determination of the loss and everything. So this, we're going into tomorrow's sentencing knowing a lot more than we did this morning. So.
For those who aren't experienced court watchers, though, on one hand, you could say this was a heavy sentence, this was a potent sentence. On the other hand, it sounded from the judge's comments like they sort of got the ringleader today. You see what I'm saying? So what's the difference here?
Well, the difference is that everyone has to be judged and has to be sentenced differently, and the judge said that, and the judge will say that tomorrow. What we learned here today was the judge determining the amounts of loss. He's determining the amounts of loss. We anticipate that that's going to be similar for tomorrow and for next week. So.
I see. Okay, makes sense.
Why wasn't that $1 million included in the charges?
I don't want to go into that detail because it's still, ongoing investigation. There's a lot of thought behind that, and I'd rather not comment on that.
At the beginning, there is a concession about a solicitation of bribe. I didn't get all that down. What was that relating to?
To be more specific,
It was a concession, two concessions. One was about, I think, $30,000 to health and economic development, GIF money, and then a second concession mentioned a solicitation of a bribe.
Yeah, so if you look at the filing that the government made regarding what's called 404 or similar bad act evidence, that is detailed there. It was detailed in the PSR. As we explained to the court, we didn't think it would have a material effect on the sentence, so even though we thought we could prove it, we did not choose to pursue presenting evidence regarding that or the other scheme, which was the Arkansas Health and Economic Research, which involved around 39,198.
Did that relate to the reported potential bribe John Woods made to State Senator Jim Hendren?
I'll let you look at the pleadings to see what you can deduce
We got time for
from
one more
that.
question.
I have a small technical question I do need to ask. Sorry if this takes up our last one, but Agent Munns referred to RSA when he was talking about the state money, when the governor balked at $2 million, you referred to the RS. What does RSA stand for? I'm not familiar.
No, it's RFA.
RFA.
It's request for applications, and it's the process, the competitive process, the least restrictive competitive process. Just request people to submit applications for the grant.
If somebody's got a better question, I'm sorry. But
I wanted just goes to making sure that we get everybody's name and spelling right. Can we, each of you three speakers, say and spell your name
Dak Kees, D-A-K-K-E-E-S.
and your role here?
I'm the U.S. Attorney.
Kenny Elser, E-L-S-E-R, First Assistant U.S. Attorney.
And you, sir?
Aaron Jennen, A-A-R-O-N, J-E-N-N-E-N. I'm an assistant U.S. attorney.
Thank you very much.
And I would just like to end this by saying this was multiple years of an investigation, thousands upon thousands of documents, hundreds of hours of interviews, a trial that lasted almost a month. We could not have done that without the investigators of the FBI and the IRS and the U.S. Attorney's Office, specifically the Assistant U.S. Attorneys and the Department of Justice, the Public Integrity Division. These people worked hard. They worked hard. They did what public officials are supposed to do. They worked for the people, not in their own best interest, and justice was done here today, and I'm just proud of the entire team. So thank you.
Thank you.